Welcome in, everybody. Midnight Madness. I am your host, Billy Muzio. With me tonight, Cody Carpentier. He is the director of the football and NFL at PlayerProfiler. He's also a draft analyst. He is the creator of the dog rating. Cody, I want you to tell me about that in a minute. He's also a Christian Watson truther before everyone came out as a Christian Watson truther. Tell me about the dog rating, Cody. Welcome to the show.
What's going on, brother? You know what it is. We actually real life connected in Canton over the summer, so that was fun. Very few people in the fantasy community do that, and we'll just all talk on Twitter. But yes, the dog rating is the thing that I had a year ago, and all it was kind of my back end thing. It's one of my things that goes into the draft grade through the process, and it's a culmination of things that general people or general analysts don't really take into account as far as like the grading aspect. You may be like, oh, this guy's got some off-field issues. But most people just say, oh, this guy's got off-field issues. Or they don't like I go through for that. It's Instagram, Twitter, it's talking to them, it's listening to interviews, listening to like every interview I can, trying to get tidbits of where their mental headspace is at, things they've done in their life, different things like that go into it. And then you come out with a specific grade for that, and I put that in about a 15 to 20%. That's about 15 to 20% of my overall rookie prospect grade. So yeah, that's the dog rating. It's been 2 years now, and I didn't have enough time to make it more, I guess you'd say, mainstream, and as far as fantasy goes, and like actually like be able to have shows and talk about it as much. But I did talk about it a little bit during the process.
So, and for those of you who may have maybe not known the background of Cody, he's actually at the combine. He's at the pro day as well. Are you at the pro days?
I went to one pro day this year just because I went to Malik Willis because he was right down the road. But NFL Combine, Senior Bowl, draft, and then just Malik Willis pro day.
Yeah. So when he says he's talking to them, he's like physically talking to them, interviewing them, getting to know them. So curious, did you have a chance to talk with Pickens at all this year? What was I'm curious because we knew he had some off the field issues. Where did he fall in that rating, and what were you? I'm just curious because we all knew he had the dog in him, right? But where did he come in your rating?
He came in right at the top, number 2 behind Sky Moore, and I talked to both of these guys at the NFL Combine. Both of them blew me away. Pickens was one of the guys that I was able to ask questions to in the interview-based scrum, and I basically was I think I got the video on Twitter somewhere. I said, hey, George, you got injured, what are you trying to prove? And he basically was like, I'm trying to prove that I'm fast. People out here don't think I'm fast. I am fast. Then he ended up running like a 4.47. Also asked him who he best compared himself to, because obviously a lot of guys are either going to go with the full. I had some guys say, I'm Le'Veon Bell, I'm this. I also had some guys that are like, look at myself more as like a Jeff Wilson. It's like, that's interesting to comp yourself to, right? You always just want to hear that high-end one. But the one that George Pickens gave me was, I model my game after Devontae Adams, and I'm bigger. And I think that I'm faster. And I was like, well, you're not bigger. You're 6'3", 195, soaking wet. But I'll give it to you. Like, it's part of the mental game. And it's pretty – I mean, he was one of the easier ones to kind of dissect as far as dog rating goes, 100%. I think that's pretty obvious to everybody, yeah.
So it's interesting that you said Devontae Adams. So when I was watching tape and my pre-draft rankings, I had Pickens up pretty high. And I know we're supposed to talk about Week 11, folks, and here we are talking about rookies or in the NFL now. But we'll just briefly just touch base on this, and then we'll hop into Week 11. But Pickens, like in my mock draft, I had him going round 1. I had him going to Green Bay because to me – he just fit the role of Devontae Adams so perfectly. And when it didn't happen, I was so upset. And then they picked Christian Watson, and my feelings on Watson. I wasn't a believer. These last 2 weeks is making me a believer, though. 80% touchdown rate is going to be hard to sustain, but hey, if the man keeps catching touchdowns, I'll give it to him. That being said, Pickens had that dog in him, Cody, and I was watching tape, and you saw it in the NFL in the beginning, pushing down cornerbacks, and man, I think he would have looked really good in Green Bay.
And I think he would have caught on quick. Like we've seen now that Claypool's gone, he kind of just like literally pushed Claypool out of the way. Also, still shout out to the Steelers for sending Claypool to the draft to announce that pick. That's still one of the most savage
Yeah.
things I think there is. But anyways, yes, Pickens in Green Bay, pretty clearly a great spot. But I also think, the Watson thing, in short, he didn't break out till now. But again, I think the big thing was last week. I talked about it 2 weeks ago in Undercovered Ops. I was like, you guys got to remember this guy exists. He hasn't had a full week of practice since before the season started. He had that full week of practice, and then you saw what he could do. Watson was always an interesting one. Obviously played 5 years at NDSU, had some drop issues, and it was like, it's going to be one of those Denzel Mims wish casting type of things. But we saw at the Senior Bowl. We saw the speed at the Combine, and it fit too well with what Rodgers can do. We see it with MVS, and I think just overall, he's a stud, man. Another guy I talked to, and I said, you lived in Tampa. Did you kind of watch Mike Evans when you grew up? He's like, no, actually, I watched a little more Julio Jones. And I was like, this was at the Senior Bowl before the Combine, so I didn't realize he was as fast as he was.
Yeah.
I was like, you're kind of reaching there, buddy. You're kind of slim. Then he runs that, and I was like, oh, you're actually, there's very few people comparable to Watson, and like Mims, Julio, and Randy Moss are a few of them.
Yeah, Watson is definitely athletic. I'm glad to see he's coming on now. I did not think it was going to happen in 2 weeks like it just did.
Yeah.
Thought it was going to take a lot more time. I honestly thought it was more of a 2023 play. So it'll be interesting to see how the rest of the season moves on. But let's go ahead. Let's jump into week 11. So everybody's here is for this evening. And let's start the running back positions. We'll kind of run through some of the people who are either elevated to rosters, who are ruled out, who are injured, either questionable, kind of talk about how we think that's going to mix up in the snap counts for folks and how it's going to affect your fantasy rosters first and foremost. And of course, we'll get to all your start sit questions that are inside the chat. So as always, throw them in there. We'll hammer through them, probably touch base on a few of them, and then we'll go back to another position and touch base on them again. So if it's your first time with us tonight, if you're a guest with Cody, just know that we will answer every start sit question. It just takes us some time to get to them, and then we'll answer them as we can when we can. So first and foremost, Saints elevated, I can't believe it's 2022. We're talking about David Johnson, but the Saints elevated David Johnson this week. We know he's dead, but Mark Ingram is ruled out. So that being said, is there any place for David Johnson to be added on fantasy rosters, in your opinion?
I mean, no.
Yeah.
I was gonna say we both. I think we're both on the same page here. There's really nothing. There's really nothing here. If you're completely dead in the water, I guess at the position, it's deep enough. Sure, add him, but you're definitely not playing him. It's just.
Yeah, we're talking about like 16-team league, start 3 running backs. Like this is when you can think about it. Anything shallower than that, like just look elsewhere.
Don't even put an X on that guy. Put an X on him. Let your league mates add him, and no.
Okay,
that's not a game winning. That's not a game winning ad.
I wanted to lead with that because I've had some start sit questions this week with David Johnson, and I just want to get it out of the way. David Johnson's not the thing. Next one up, another deep one for deep leagues. I like deep leagues. So I there's a lot of these questions that are going to be asked based upon that depth. But Corey Clement, was just elevated to the active roster, right? We saw Benjamin get released and added to Houston immediately. We know that James Conner has injury problems and a history of injuries. Is Corey Clement worth a stash, in your opinion?
Corey Clement is an interesting one. Obviously, Conner came back at that 96% snap share last week, which was kind of ridiculous in my opinion. Let Eno go. That surprised me. I think Keontae kind of showed that they have the trust in Keontae. I actually don't mind Corey Clement. He was in Baltimore early I think late during the offseason, maybe in week 1, 2, 3. And he had some juice. So I'm definitely not against adding Corey Clement. He's healthy, and it's just another guy in this offense. We liked Eno. We didn't mind Keontae. Why not Corey? So if you're liking those deep leagues, stash Corey Clement.
Yeah, or especially even in high-stakes leagues when you can't be – players are dropped and added, and you're looking for something to catch lightning in a bottle in that shootout, week 15, 16, 17, an interesting name to consider.
And that's exactly the best point, too, is like in those leagues specifically, the FFPC, FFWC, it's like you're literally just trying to find that dude and that nobody else has, and that's right there.
Next one, so another name that was just elevated today was Darrington Evans. This is hashtag on brand for me.
Yeah.
I was a Darrington Evans truther. I probably owned the most Darrington Evans in the world last year, probably like 70% of my rosters. right process, wrong results,
Yep.
right? Because Henry goes down, but Evans went down first. And so it ended up being Foreman last year. But Evans has the talent, in my opinion, to succeed as a running back. We're seeing now Chicago is not necessarily enamored by Monty anymore. We saw Herbert have success in this offense. He was the 11th leading rusher in the league up until his IR stint now. Previous week, he was the 7th leading rusher in the league. So is Darrington Evans worth a stash to you?
Borderline, right? We now have seen a shift in how this offense is being used. Obviously, early in the season, we saw the 100-yard game out of Herbert being that guy next to Montgomery and in replace of Montgomery. Ebner, obviously, is the other guy in this offense. He's a doppelganger of Herbert, in my opinion. He had that 5th year in college, transferred, did the whole thing, and has the burst and the explosion, 92nd percentile 40-yard dash, 89th percentile speed. And I think Ebner's kind of the guy to own here as really the third rusher in this offense, obviously, because of Fields has been so dominant. Evans is interesting. If you got to be in some super deep leagues to stash Evans, in my opinion. But I'd be much more in line. Obviously, Ebner's going to be owned in these deeper leagues, but I don't know. What do you think about Evans? Sounds like you're a truther to Evans. Do you think there's a role for him?
Yeah, I'm going to continue to beat the drum until the drum doesn't beat anymore. And I'm either going to be wrong every year or eventually I'll be right. And then it'll hit. And then that's all I need is 1 year to hit. But I think he has the athletics skill set to be successful in the NFL. And he has the ability to catch the ball and run the ball. I think that he can be a difference maker down the stretch. But they're not just going to hand him the rock, right? Herbert's out. Like you said, Ebner's already there. Monty's still in the picture. Even though I don't like Monty, he's still going to get a majority of the snaps. If Monty goes down, that's where, in my opinion, Evans becomes possibly the guy over Ebner. Now, I do think that Evans has a chance to be more explosive than Monty, and he could break one off or just shine in a game, and then maybe they give him more snaps the following game. It might take a couple weeks is what I'm saying. So for those of you who are in desperation mode, it's not something that you want to rely on, but again, lightning in a bottle may hit. Not saying it's going to, but I like Darrington Evans, and I'm hoping the best for him. Next up is running back Ezekiel Elliott, looking likely to play against the Vikings. How does this affect your rankings for Tony Pollard in Week 11? Because I think at some point we had always ranked, when they had the two on the field at least, we had always ranked Zeke ahead of Pollard. But now we've seen what Pollard has been in the 2-week stint that Zeke has been out, and he's been magnificent. He's been everything that us Tony Pollard truthers thought he was going to be if Zeke ever missed time. Now they're back on the field, both simultaneously. Zeke is still battling that knee. I have Pollard ahead of my rankings. I have him ahead of Zeke in my rankings this week for the first time when they've been on the field together.
I think so too. I think we have to see what Zeke is. First off, number one, and number two, it came in as a 60-40 for the first 8 weeks or 7 weeks of the season. I don't think it's going to be a 60-40. If it's not 50-50, it might go 55-45 in Pollard's direction, in my opinion, is where it should be going, especially in this in week 11, right? And even if it's not, even if it is 50-50, or even if they do give Zeke 60%, I think what Pollard's been doing, he's going to get some more important touches, and he's most effective and most efficient with those touches. So, we have Pollard two spots ahead of Zeke right now in the Week 11 rankings as well. And I think that's do you have them much further apart?
I have them much further apart, yeah.
Hey, I can't disagree with you. Like, there's some names in front of them right now that the final straw gets pushed from Dario in these weekly rankings, and we all talk, but there's a few guys in front of him that I would probably take Pollard over personally.
I'm pulling up my rankings right now that are not fully published. Yeah, I go through. Everyone knows the back end. I'm working on the back end more, and then I publish them. 9:00 on Sunday morning as we get all the news, actives, inactives, the whole shebang. Right. But as it stands right now, I got Pollard in the mid-20s.
Yep.
Okay, and then I have Zeke in the late 30s.
Okay, so you
So
got a big gap there.
about 13 spots almost.
Okay, so it sounds like we have Pollard about the same spot. We have him at 22, and then Zeke's 24. So I think we have Zeke a little high, but again, I think that's pushing in the thought that if he's playing, he's probably going to get that at least 50% snap share, or 50% opportunity share. I don't love that, especially against the Vikings. I think they're going to be throw the ball more, but we'll see.
Yeah, the thing about the Vikings is that they are, one of the tougher defenses versus pass catching backs. They are, though, on the flip side, just in general, just tough against the running back. So I think it's either way, it's a bad matchup for both these backs. And depending upon game script, we could get into a little pickle if Minnesota does get a lead. And it's always hard to predict game scripts with games that are this close, in my opinion. But I think that it would benefit Pollard a little bit more, and I don't think that they're going to want to rush Zeke back into action right away. You know, especially as they still have playoff admirations, and they probably don't want to get re-injure that knee and then be stuck without another running back. So I could see a scenario where Zeke is eased in, and Pollard is handed the bulk of the carries. Now, I think you said 50-50. I'm not quite there. I think it's more like 60-40-ish Pollard, in my opinion.
Okay, so you're thinking like, so it was 60-40 coming in with Zeke. Now you're thinking 60-40 Pollard. I agree with that personally. I agree with that's the process. That should be the process for Dallas. I agree with that 100%.
Yeah. Now, Dallas is known to do stupid shit. So,
that's the problem.
So I could also see a scenario where it's 50-50 and it shouldn't be. But in my opinion, rushing someone back off an injury, when you still have playoff admirations, when your backup running back has performed as well as he has, it makes no logical sense. But it is the Cowboys, and they have not done smart things in the past. So I would not be surprised if they went 50-50 or even if they did go Zeke. But my personal belief is Pollard is going to lead this backfield in snaps here in Week 11. Next running back, we have J.D. McKissic hits the IR, neck injury, season ending. I was telling everybody it was going to happen. It was Chris Carson 2.0 again. Neck injuries and running backs just don't mesh well. We saw it with Carson. We saw it with Wilson back on the Giants years ago. Here we are again, J.D. McKissic. How does this affect your rest of season rankings for Gibson and Robinson?
So I'm obviously going to be a little biased towards Gibson. I always have been. I think the efficiency with Gibson keeps him always up in a decent spot. I don't really, I'm going to be straight honest with you. I never really counted McKissic towards anything this year because I really haven't seen enough to warrant taking true snaps away from a Gibson or even a Robinson for that matter, because Robinson does nothing like McKissic as far as the game plan is in between the tackles and stuff. It's more so Gibson, I think, that you'd be worried about with McKissic playing. So now what's going to maybe add one target to Antonio Gibson or Curtis Samuel. But really, for me, it doesn't do anything as far as the projecting or season long.
Yeah, last week we saw Antonio Gibson with 48.2% of the snaps, Gibson 51.8%. They do get the league worst rush defense with the Houston Texans this week, who are actually pretty sneakily good in the secondary and against the other positions. But running backs, they're gonna just gouge them, right? And Gibson has the ability to catch at the backfield as well, where Robinson to me is more of that plotter. And I think that Gibson, in my opinion, is the one to benefit the most from this IR stint for McKissic. Yep. Let's do one more running back, and then we'll answer a few start-sit questions, and then we'll tackle the wide receiver position. And let's just move on into the Lions backfield, because this is the one that's been the most frustrating for fantasy managers. DeAndre Swift, word on the street, is pushing through it right now. Doesn't sound good, Cody. Doesn't sound good at all. We look at snap counts for the last few weeks, and inside my Stardom Situm article over at Full Time Fantasy, I talk about this dilemma here, and DeAndre Swift leads my start sits as a sit, I should say. And we look at his usage inside the team. Played 55% of snaps when he came for his first week back in Week 8, but then it went downhill from there. Week 9, Swift saw his snap share drop to 16.1%. He was out-snapped by Jamal Williams, who took on 61.3% of the snaps, and Justin Jackson, who also saw 21% of the snaps. And then that trend continued in Week 10 when Williams saw 40.3% of the snaps, Swift saw 30.6%, and Justin Jackson saw 27.4%. It's clear Swift is not 100%. We're hearing scuttle that it could be Deuce Staley. It could be an injury. I'm not going to say which one it is or isn't. We don't know. But let's face it, we now have a three-headed monster with Jamal Williams leading the charge. Jamal Williams was already leading the charge in the red zone. Do you trust DeAndre Swift moving forward as your running back?
I, complete transparency, have never owned a single share of DeAndre Swift since his rookie year. I was never a fan of him, and I play in quite not as many leagues as you, but I play in about 48 leagues this year specifically. Never owned in 17 dynasty leagues, whatever. Never owned him. The problem is never once. I just happened to not be on his side of the line during the rookie year in 2020, and then I just never bought in because it was just like I saw the injury prone stuff, and that was one of my just all time fades, and never owned a share of Devonta Freeman either. So that one bit me one year too, but it is what it is. Anyway, the point is with DeAndre Swift is you always get these questions now. Start, sit, whatever. The thing is with DeAndre Swift is he's actually super efficient, kind of like Gibson, but he's been super efficient this year. Number 2 in fantasy points per opportunity, number 8 yards per route run, number 3 in breakaway run rate. And it really depends on what you have, right? Because we know even if Swift only gets 7, 8, 9 touches or opportunities, he can literally break one of those and go 70 yards. We saw, I can't remember what week it was, but I think he had like 3 or 4 or 5 touches, and it was week 2 against Washington. I think that's what it was. I think he had 2 receptions and 5 carries. I think he had like a 70-yarder, and he ended up scoring 16 fantasy points, and it was like 50% snap share. What are we doing here? Like, he can do that. So it really comes down to who else you have on your roster, if you're going to start him or not. It's borderline though, right? Like, he can outscore Jamal Williams if Williams is only getting the between the tackles opportunities as well. So,
well, let me throw a few names out there for you then. So DeAndre Swift or Michael Carter. Oof. We're in that right neighborhood.
Yeah, we are. I take Swift.
Okay. DeAndre Swift and Kenyon Drake.
I take Drake.
Okay. Brian Robinson, DeAndre Swift.
Swift. That's a big opportunity too, though. That's a big opportunity share from Robinson, especially between the tackles. You get Houston, but again, I think 4 or 5 targets for Swift and carries. Like, I think he can outscore Robinson, and you're playing for that boom. It depends on your situations, obviously, but I think you're playing for that boom most times. That's how I play.
Okay, let's do boom and boom. Pollard, Swift.
Oof. Swift, because we talked about this a minute ago. We don't trust Dallas. We don't know what Dallas will do, right? They should come out, we both think, and come out and play 60-40 Pollard ball. But we could also see them come out and play 70-30 Zeke ball and completely put the genie back in the bottle from Pollard and say, Zeke's healthy. Jerry Jones is making the plays now. We've seen it, right? So I would go Swift just because you're getting the upside there. Detroit's won 2 straight games. They're going to need it against the Giants. Yeah, that's got them back-to-back in the weekly rankings. So
look at that, right off the top of my head. Let's go ahead and get some start-sit questions in here. We'll answer a few of them, then we'll hop to the wide receiver position. I told Cody 45 minutes. Looks like we're going to be going past that a little bit. Looking for some last-minute trade deadline advice. Mike Williams and Sutton, too much of an overpay for Evans or Metcalf. What do you think? Would you package those two for either of those receivers? I think it's too much of an overpay.
You're packaging Big Mike and Sutton to get Evans or Metcalf.
Yep.
Also have Lamb, Amon-Ra, and Olave start 3 wide receivers usually. Thanks. I would roll with Lamb, Amon-Ra, and Olave, and then just plug Sutton and Williams if you need to. If you're only starting 3, then you just have optimal depth right now. If I'm moving 2 receivers and you have optimal depth, I'd probably try to go for running backs because I'm assuming your running backs aren't as strong as your receivers.
The way I look at it is that Mike Williams has the opportunity to outscore Metcalf and Evans on a week-to-week basis anyways. I'd rather have Mike Williams and Sutton, especially with the slew of injuries we've seen from Keenan Allen.
Exactly.
Keenan Allen could literally tweak his hamstring during warm-ups. The next thing you know, Mike Williams is the de facto number 1 again without much competition and is going to be ranked every week ahead of Evans and Metcalf. So I'm going to stay with Mike Evans and Sutton because more than likely you have a flex position as well. And I preach it. You're going to be starting your full-time receiver over your part-time running back every single week. So I want both Williams and Sutton, especially with Judy battling that ankle injury as well.
That's the big thing I think right there is Hamler, Judy out, Allen still not. I don't think Allen's going to be 100% the rest of the year. So I think Yeah. I love Evans and Metcalf too, but I think you have to stay with what you got.
Okay. We think Lamar and Andrews are good to go. Yes, I think they're both going to be playing. News from tonight: Shefty Bomb at midnight. Mark Andrews is playing. Lamar, they said, is going to be fine. He's just had some illness. He's playing, and then you have Dak and Likely as backups. You're set if you have Likely as backup. If for whatever reason Mark Andrews doesn't play, but we both fully expect Mark Andrews to play.
Dak also plays at 4:00, so you have up until if Lamar is inactive or some bullshit, you could always pivot.
Exactly. So I think you're set to succeed either way, but go ahead and plug Lamar and Andrews in your lineup and be worry free, quite frankly.
Yep.
We have going David Njoku or Greg Dulcich. Full people are, ooh, this one's close for me. Projected to lose by 4, need to win 4-6 currently.
Dulcich or yeah, I'm pretty easy on Dulcich right now.
Yeah, me as well. So I go Dulcich here because one, Buffalo's tough versus tight end. Dulcich comes in. We just talk about Judy being out, so there's less of the pie to be distributed through the passing game. You still have Hamler out, so in my opinion, Dulcich is probably going to be a top 5 tight end this week. And I said that last week and it didn't happen, but it's going to happen this week.
He's a dude. Like that's
He's
bottom
a stud,
line,
man.
He's a dude.
He really is. He's got the hair too. I love the hair.
Luscious. He's got the literal. Met him at the Senior Bowl as well. Literally has Troy Polamalu's hair. Might be better.
He should totally be doing Head and Shoulder commercials already.
100%. 100%.
Missed opportunity, honestly. Next one is just traded away Devonta Smith and Damian Harris for Monty. What do y'all think? Even if I don't like it, you can't change it. I'm sorry. I don't like after the fact questions. I don't like it.
I don't either. You kind of your timing kind of got that's for me. I got it going down. I think that elevates Devonta enough to where I would be like, yeah.
And then Monty's going to see increased snaps. I'll talk about him tonight. Actually, he's going to be one of my running backs I like more than ECR this week, just simply from a snap share count or perspective, I should say. But again, Goddard out, Devonta Smith gets a big boost, and then you never know what happens at running back. And if anything happens to Ramondre Stevenson, Damian Harris is going to get a much larger role. And we've seen what he's been able to do with a larger role. So in my opinion, Devonta Smith and Damian's side is the side I would have taken in this trade. Flex PPR, Boyd or Patterson?
Patterson.
Rankings. Yeah, I lean Patterson too. But let me pull my rankings up real quick.
Patterson against Chicago, getting that little. I mean, he didn't play
Pittsburgh
Chicago
secondary is trash though.
Is that one in Pittsburgh? I can't remember.
It's at Pittsburgh. Yep.
It's at Pittsburgh. So that's every year. I always love that Boyd matchup in Pittsburgh where he played college ball, where he's from, and their secondary is obviously ass.
I'm gonna switch it up. I'm gonna go Boyd here. Cody goes Patterson. We'll 50-50 it, and you have to pick yourself.
I'm on the fence right there. That's tough.
This is one of those flip of coins, but I'm gonna say Boyd. But if you're on 50-50, flip a coin. But that's what I literally do that start set. If I'm that close and I go through all of my data and I go through snaps and I go through matchups and it's still 50-50 on paper, 50-50 in my head, I literally flip coins. And just that's my final factor. Flip a coin.
Let's go Boyd. I'd say Boyd too because I got Boyd and Myers are actually my two most owned players on the FFWC. So let's go Boyd. I'll go Boyd with you.
Love to hear it. That's good for start sits now. Let's move on to wide receiver. We'll come back to the rest of the start sits in there. Nico Collins groin, not on the final injury report. Do you trust him as a flex?
Yes. Love Nico. Always love Nico.
Okay, how about Brandon Cooks? Hip, wrist, off the final injury report. Hasn't really had the season that we expected out of him. Kind of been a, WTF season. That's not Washington football team. That's WTF. Are you looking elsewhere? Are you starting him? Are you comfortable starting him?
Not comfortable starting him. It's kind of turned into one of those situations where it's like, can I get something better? Like I know people have run out there and played Chris Moore in last week just because of opportunity over the last few weeks. Cooks is just tough. The whole situation felt really weird. Is he going to get traded? He's hurt. What's happening? He's not going to practice. Like, it just feels like there's something going on. There's some meddling going on. I don't hate the matchup at all, but I think I'd rather play Nico here. I think I'd rather play Damian Pierce here. I don't think it's going to be a big Cooks game. Are you on Cooks at all?
No, not on Cooks.
Okay.
Yeah. Devontae Parker knee is questionable. No one cares. Michael Gallup knee was not on the is not in the final injury report. Is he a wide receiver 3 in your rankings this week? 4 against the Vikings?
Gallup?
Yep.
I think he's up in
Bottom four against the wide receiver position. That's why I ask.
Yep. We got him up at wide receiver 31. Right between Jacoby Myers and Nico Collins.
That's
aforementioned.
Where do I have him? That's higher than I thought. Let me see.
This game's there's gonna be some points in this game. I think.
I think so too.
Yeah. So
you're about 5 spots higher than me.
And the Vikings can get beat over the top. So I mean, I'm a Viking fan. I hate saying that, but yes, I think also Gallup is getting healthy, staying healthy. They didn't trade for a receiver, which at that point gave me trust that they trust Michael Gallup, and I think we should if they do.
Okay. We just talked about Jerry Jeudy. He is out, will not be playing. Kendall Hinton shoulder is questionable week 11. What's your projection for him versus the Raiders?
Kendall Hinton?
Yeah.
I mean, if you want to, sure. I'm not there. We have him much further down the list. I think there's
like wide receiver 80.
Yeah, I was gonna say I think there's a multitude of better options you can make. Justin Watson's I think a better option. Mac Hollins, you can always run out there. Like there's guys with higher upsides than a Kendall Hinton's that's going to catch dump offs, especially in one of the most inefficient offenses in football. Actually, scratch it. I think there was a stat that came out this last week that they were the most consistent offense in the NFL, most consistently bad offense in the NFL this year. It was kind of a backhanded slap compliment. I can't remember who put that on. I wish I could remember, but they literally said, yeah, most consistent offense, consistently bad. Stay away.
Hey, consistency is what matters, right? If I could consistently shoot a 100 in golf, would you take a 100 in golf every time, or would you take a 90 and a 110, 90 and a 110?
You're not wrong. You're not wrong. Fair question.
The only problem is we're talking golf and football. Okay, next, moving on. Keenan Allen and Mike Williams both practiced this week and are looking both good to start in week 11. Where do you fall in your rankings, and what happens to Palmer?
Palmer falls down, obviously, but I still think there's opportunity for him because I think you have to play him unless you have obviously greater options. Allen and Williams coming back, they've both been banged up for multiple weeks. Allen, I really don't trust. We have him pretty decently high end wide receiver 2 this week, but who's to say he plays a full snap share? Who's to say he's out there for more than 60%? I think Williams being back fully healthy actually helps Palmer and Allen, but I still don't think Allen plays a full snap share. So I don't think it kills Palmer, but it definitely hurts him.
Yeah, especially you said if you have better options, that's the key, right? We have the Jaguars on a bye, we have the Dolphins on a bye, we have the Seahawks on a bye, with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers on a bye. That's a lot of good receivers that are on a bye this week.
Yeah, I'll play I'll still play him. It's just going to be, you got to temper your expectations. You're not going to get a 9 reception game out of Palmer. That's just not the way it's going to go. DeAndre Carter's still there. It's just.
Yeah, temper your expectations is what he is saying. It's those double-digit target games are a thing of the past until another injury possibly arises. Okay, interesting wide receiver core now. So moving on to Kansas City. MVS was not listed on the final injury report. His illness, he's good to go. However, Juju Smith is ruled out with a concussion after that scary hit last week. McCole Hardman was ruled out. He has that abdomen issue. How do you project this wide receiver core to break down in week 11? Is it officially Tony season?
It's officially Tony season, dude. It's officially. I think it's officially Tony season. This is one of those things, like I talked about the dog rating. This is part of like the process of it. It's just reading between the teeth. If you just pay attention, and I know you do. I know you read everything. I know you watch everything. It's like you just pay attention. It's pretty. The writing's on the wall. This is one of those situations. The writing's on the wall. Everyone in the Kansas City locker room's like, why is he here? How did he get here? You heard Kelsey say it on the podcast. Why, how, when, what? This guy is vibrating excellence and positivity and electricity. Like, come on, it's Tony season. Don't fool yourselves. It's time.
Yeah, I agree. You saw the hammy hop last week, scored his touchdown, hopping into the end zone. Looked explosive. Inside the article, I talk about his 2021 juke rate, stat over at PlayerProfiler. Led the league in juke rate in 2021. I've always called him Debo Light, right? He has that ability to just get out, and I think I was actually on Mighty Mansion when I called him the human joystick, right? He just has the ability to just break free, get out, and make a big play. And I'm excited to see what he's able to do this week when he has significant snap share and a quarterback that's going to get him the ball. So it is officially Tony season. Kenny Golladay, no one cares. Knee, questionable. Justin Jefferson, toe is not on the final injury report. That's a good thing. So he's on the field. We talked about this Dallas game already. Jamar Chase will not play week 11, has yet to resume practice. When do you think he plays again?
I read something yesterday about possibly week 12, which is the Tennessee Titans. That's obviously going to be a big game as far as the hierarchy of the AFC goes. Pittsburgh, I think they think they're easily going to win, but you're looking at a big stretch coming up here. Tennessee, Kansas City, Cleveland with Deshaun Watson, Tampa. They got a big stretch coming. I think they're probably going to want him for that week 12 game, but they might hold him up for week 13. But one of those two, I'm pretty confident he'll be back.
Okay. Wan'Dale Robinson, hammy, will play week 11 versus Detroit. Is he a top 40 wide receiver?
Wan'Dale, man, I think he's this year's Amon-Ra, but the hamstring thing could really pull him down. And this week we only have one giant inside the top 40. That's Darius Slayton. Wan'Dale's a little bit out of there. Got him at wide receiver 50 in PPR.
So you went to the combine. Are you surprised that they haven't utilized him at all in the running game?
I mean,
or is he just too much of an Oompa Loompa and he's going to get crushed by a linebacker?
I mean, yeah, right. But I'm just surprised they haven't really I'm surprised they've won as many games as they have with the receiving core they have.
Yeah, it's been pretty impressive actually.
It's hella impressive when you compare it to what the Packers have, and it's like the Packers have been like the mainstay of the conversation because obviously Rodgers and the Packers. But you look what the Giants got, man. They literally just got Isaiah Hodgins, and they're just like, "Yo, run 80%," and he's like, "All right, I just got off the bench, but okay, I'll go do it." And Darius Slayton's like their leading receiver. It's like, what? But yeah, they definitely need to utilize Wan'Dale, and that's kind of why I tabbed him, a couple weeks ago as this year's Amon-Ra late season breakout. Amon-Ra didn't really break out till week 13 last year, and I think Wan'Dale has those tendencies. And if the Giants are going to, actually stay in the playoff race in the NFC and make the playoffs and do something, they're going to need to use Wan'Dale more. Otherwise, they're going to fall behind quick, I think. But it's just trusting Dayball, trusting that process. It's tough.
So Slayton, 79.7% of snaps last week. Wan'Dale, 75.4%. Yeah. Hodgins was the next closest, 62.3%, and then Kenny Galladay's meaningless, 37.7%. The guy just can't stand the field. When he's on the field, he's just horrible. I mean, it's amazing what he was able to accomplish with Matt Stafford. Looking back at it.
Oh yeah, I mean, no, yeah, there was the hip injury had to be some Michael Thomas type shit or something, because he was great in Detroit, and then as soon as he signs that. Even the last year in Detroit was a little rough, but when he signed that contract, it was like done. And it's, they made this. I think ESPN might have tweeted it, or Schefter, or maybe somebody last week, like, yeah, Kenny Golladay will play this week. And I was like, sweet, nothing. And Isaiah Hodgins comes over, first game with the team after getting cut by the Bills, 62%, doubles his. I'm like, what are we doing here? This Golladay thing is just completely done. Done.
Yeah, it's done. Yeah, cut him. If you still roster him, cut him. He's not going to do anything.
Done.
Back to some start-sit questions from the staff. We have Gunnar Boy on here. Ask Cody, should he go Miles Sanders, David Montgomery, or Clyde Edwards-Helaire? Dad, Isaiah Pacheco, pick 2.
Dad, Isaiah Pacheco. Pick 2, half PPR. Well, let's see here. What do we got?
I'm going to go Sanders and Montgomery.
Yeah, I definitely going to do Sanders. I wanted to see where we had Montgomery as far as – we actually have Montgomery one spot ahead of Sanders. They're back-to-back. I think that's the two, Montgomery and Sanders. I would never go Clyde because that's just not my type. But Pacheco, we have him 6 spots lower than the rest. So, yeah, Montgomery and Sanders.
Yeah, you look at this backfield in Kansas City, and they're going to be. They've said this week they're looking to get Clyde Edwards-Helaire more involved again. You're going to have Isaiah Pacheco now involved as well. You have Jerick McKinnon still involved. So now you're talking about a three-headed rotation with two guys on 1 and 2 downs, and now two guys on third downs. It's not a scenario that you want to get yourself involved in, especially when they're slip splitting. Yeah, it's possibly.
I think it's what they want. It's kind of annoying because, like, remember they named Pacheco the starter, and we saw everything. Clyde's done, whatever. But as soon as they put that waiver claim in for Eno Benjamin, I said, fuck it. I said, as soon as anybody in this backfield does anything, which I only own a few shares of McKinnon, and I got quite a bit of Pacheco, I'm like, as soon as either of these guys has a big 20, 30-point game, I'm trading them as fast as I can because I hate this shit. I hate when there's 3-4 backs in a backfield, and the offense is clearly like, well, whoever's back there and catches the ball gets it. I'm like,
honestly, the back that I trust the most in this backfield is McKinnon because he's getting the majority of the passing down work from the backfield. And so I'll lean that way. I know he's not on your list, but if I had to pick between those three, that's who I'm picking. But easily out of these ones, Sanders and Montgomery for me.
Yeah.
Next question, PPR flex, Ramondre or wide receiver Kadarius Toney. Switch either Jacoby Myers or Marquise Brown off IR, but on Monday night.
Tony.
So, are you saying you have to start these over Ramondre? Is that what he's saying?
I don't know. I just want to say Tony.
I mean, Ramondre for me starting regardless. The dude's an animal. So, if I have to only pick one, it's Ramondre. I think I'm misreading this. I think it's Ramondre and then the wide receiver is how I'm reading this. If that's okay, I'll give him both ways. It's Ramondre if it's just and. If it's only one, it's Ramondre. If it's Ramondre and one of these receivers for me, it's Ramondre and Tony.
So I think he's got Ramondre as his flex and Tony as his receiver 3, and he can switch either Jacoby or Marquise Brown off the IR and put them in that spot. I don't know how you can. I mean, if you can keep both those guys on the IR this week, and your league's kind of broken, but I think I would roll with what you have, Ramondre and Tony.
Ramondre and Tony, easily. Johanna says hi. Cody's in the mix. A-Rob, Pacheco, Palmer, Rondell Moore, leaning Pacheco and Moore. What's your thoughts, PPR? I'm going to go Moore and A-Rob, actually.
I was going to say A-Rob and Palmer. Yeah.
So this is an
definitely A-Rob. Definitely A-Rob.
Yeah, A-Rob now is the number one, as we're assuming now with Cooper Kupp on IR. But we have Moore, in my opinion. So this one gets interesting between Moore because Marquise Brown could play, could not play. If Marquise Brown does not play, then Rondell Moore is going to see 12-plus targets again, like he has been saying. Now, if Marquise Brown is in, you do have the loss of Ertz, which is going to give more slot reps and anything intermediate across the middle to Rondell Moore. Now, they still have Trey McBride, but how much he's going to be involved in the passing game, we shall find out. But Moore is in potential to have another big week, especially if Marquise Brown is out. So I'm going to take the gamble here, and I know it's Monday night. I'm going to go Moore and A-Rob. But even if we have Marquise Brown in, he's a field stretcher, that may help Moore underneath even more.
I'm cool with that. I just pulled the rankings up while you were talking. We have Rondell 41, Josh Palmer 43. I think it's just to literally pick your poison. You took Rondell, I took Palmer.
Flip the coin.
I don't see you. I don't think you're hurt by either outcome.
Okay. Next one is: would you stash Wan'Dale or Terrace Marshall rest of the season? For me, Wan'Dale pretty easily.
Yeah, Wan'Dale. I love Terrace, but this offense is shit.
Yeah, Baker Mayfield is scary. Next one is Tony, Ayuk, Thielen, or London. Pick two.
Not London. He gets Jalen treatment. He hasn't played great. Anthony Brown's banged up. I think he's going to play. The Thielen thing has been tough just with Hawkinson being there. I think they're going to want to establish the run as well. Obviously, Jefferson's going to get his respects from Diggs. I go Ayuk and Tony here.
Yep, I do too.
Yeah.
Yep, I like that one pretty easy. Tony is the upside. Ayuk's been just a staple inside the Niners offense as of late.
I was going to say, you're a Niner fan. You know, I mean, Ayuk's probably one of the most underrated receivers right now, it feels like.
Oh, he's been phenomenal, actually.
Yeah.
This is kind of what everyone thought he was going to be last year at this point. Here he is. Let's see. Next one is Patterson or Pollard.
I think we have them back to back.
Yeah, pretty close to my rankings as well.
Let's see here. Pollard. I go Pollard.
Okay.
Wow, that's tough.
In my rankings right now, let me go to running backs. I was on receivers. I got, they're back to back as of right now. But Pollard will move down like 2 slots probably. Once Zeke is active, I'm going to lean Patterson. It's close though. It's very, very, very close. It could be one of those. Yeah, it could be one of those coin flips. But Chicago, we talked about. This is when I go back to coin flips. Before I flip the coin, I look at matchups. I look at what those teams have done, not only in real NFL, but how have fantasy points produced versus those teams. Chicago has given up the 26th most fantasy points. So bottom 6 in the league versus the running back position. And so they've also given up 294 receiving yards to the running backs. They've given up 12 rushing touchdowns to running backs. I'm going to lean Patterson here because we talked about the matchup with the Vikings, who are top 6, so literally opposite side of the field here. I'm going to lean because of matchup to Patterson. Next question we have is Deontay Johnson. Would you start Deontay Johnson over Gabe Davis or Amari Cooper? No, I would not. No. Deontay Johnson has been pitiful this year. I mean, we look at it. So he's actually my number 1 sit-em in this week for my article. And I looked at what his opportunity has been. And so with Pickett at helm, Deontay Johnson has yet to record a touchdown in 2022. 81 targets. He's the only wide receiver in the NFL with 56 or more targets who has yet to score. And Bengals have only given up 5 all year. I don't think it's going to happen this week either.
Woof.
That's horrible.
And I'm assuming you're going Gabe.
Yeah, if I had to pick one, I'm going Gabe. If you're playing 2, of course, it's Amari and Gabe. Trade Tony Pollard for Damon Pierce. I want Damon Pierce side all day.
Yep. 100%.
Big time volume. Okay, let's move on to tight ends. This one's quicker, and then we'll finish off some start-sit questions. Mark Andrews did not practice Wednesday, but was limited Thursday and practiced in full on Friday. He is expected to play. What are you expecting snap counts for him? Are you expecting a full workload?
If he's playing, he's getting a full workload. I think that's how Baltimore's going to work. They know what Isaiah Likely can do. They know what Josh Oliver can do. They know what this offense is with and without. If he plays, he's getting that workload of, I would say, at least 80, probably 80 to 85%.
Okay. Njoku also kind of in a similar situation. He's supposed to be active this week versus the Bills. Is he immediately back in the tight end 1 discussion?
Not yet. Not yet for me. I gotta see the workload bump back up, and then maybe next week. But you definitely don't want to. If somebody cut him through the injuries, you definitely want to add him with the return of Watson in a few weeks. But I'm a week away from talking about him being a top 12 tight end.
Okay, Goddard officially on IR. Who is the tight end to own in Philly? Is it Stoll? Is it Tyree Jackson? Is there somebody else?
Well, breaking news. This was my guy that I'm ahead of ECR on right now, and that's the one I highlighted right now. It's Grant Calcaterra. Got him at tight end 15 right now this week, and that's another guy. He's just another tight end in this rookie class. It's just boom, boom. It's like every week since week 3 we've had a rookie.
15 this week?
Yeah.
How are you sitting down right now? Your ball's that big?
Dude, you don't see my wheelbarrow under here? You don't see the wheelbarrow under here,
That's
bro?
ballsy, man. 15. I like it, though. I like it. I like going against the grain. I really do.
Every week since week 3 this year, we've had a rookie tight end finish in the top 12. Multiple.
Yeah, it's been – we talked about this on Thursday's pod. It's whoever catches that fade or that out in the corner, he scores a touchdown, has been in the top 15 every week.
Stoll is when you compare the situation to what Tampa kind of dealt with. You call Cam Brate the Dallas Goddard. Keeft down in Tampa Bay. Nobody knows his name. That's because that's Jack Stoll in this offense. He's a run blocking tight end. Grant Calcaterra is the K. Dotton in this offense. Grant Calcaterra is better than K. Dotton. Grant Calcaterra is a very good tight end. And I talked about it on Undercovered Ops this week. I love Calcaterra. Again, tight end 15, head of ECR. Hot take, bold take, big balls. I don't care. We're there.
Okay, taking notes. Um, Got to go back and do some research before I finish my rankings. I did not have Calcaterra in there at all, so I will definitely take note and take a look. Zach Ertz out for the season. Is Trey McBride a tight end 2 rest of the season?
I think so. I think you can trust that. I think McBride. I mean, coming into the whole process, McBride was pretty clearly the number one. The motherfucking Mackey Award from last year. Sorry if that demonetized. I don't think it did. Trey McBride, number one tight end coming in this class, next to Greg Dulcich. The opportunity was there last week. 80% snaps after Ertz goes out. Everyone freaked out because he didn't get much. He didn't get any targets. He didn't get any receiving yards. Whatever. I think you have to think about this Arizona offense a little bit differently. I think the way Cliff and Kyler work are a lot different than anybody else in the entire NFL. You get a full week of work in with plays designed for you. I think you're going to get a lot more out of McBride than just saying, hey, you're now Zach Ertz. And he's not actually Zach Ertz as far as the connection goes. So I trust the process rest of season.
Okay, I like the analysis. How about Gerald Everett, groin, return limited practice, big but, they activated a tight end. I think today, was it today or last night? I don't remember what day it was. All my days are blending now. But they activated Smart off to the active roster. Never a good sign to see the same position activated when you are questionable. Does that activation scare you at all?
Kind of. I like Trey McKitty. We're talking this week. Probably there's probably some better options that you can have, especially with the return of these receivers in Williams and Allen, and obviously the workload that Eckler gets on a weekly basis. Trey McKitty had a 78% snap share last week with the Everett injury. I'm just staying away this week from Everett overall.
Okay, I think it's fair enough. He wasn't producing even when he had the opportunity with Keenan Allen and Mike Williams, both hurt, dropping balls. Now has a groin injury. I think it's wise. Let's do quarterbacks real quick. There's only a couple of them on there. We'll finish up with some start-sit questions, and then we'll hammer through our starts of the week. You did your tight end, but we'll circle back through on those as well. So P.J. Walker, ankle is out. It's the Baker Mayfield show again. What does this do to the Panthers' pass catchers?
Sure, maybe. Exactly. Maybe. That doesn't answer a question, but sure, maybe. Like the one positive I took away from a couple weeks ago was when Terrace Marshall started to kind of burst onto the scene with PJ Walker at quarterback. Then Baker came in and he continued to get targeted. That's awesome. That's nice. I'll take it. But as far as upside goes, I don't know. There ain't much upside for any of these guys, I don't think, as far as unless they can just overall push the ball to DJ Moore, like that's DJ Moore. That would be awesome. But I got no trust, no belief that we're gonna, no faith that we're gonna see anything.
Stafford is slated to play, cleared concussion protocol. Kyler officially questionable Monday Night Football. Is Colt McCoy a viable starter if Kyler is ruled out?
I think McCoy. What was McCoy's result? Because I think he was on the injury report as well this week. Was he not?
Also questionable.
He's also questionable. So yeah. I mean, Colt McCoy. He looks like he had a full practice Friday, full practice Saturday. So I'm assuming he'd be good to go if Kyler's not. Is he viable? Sure. If you're in Superflex in that situation, if you need it, sure. I would just pray that maybe he decides that he's sick on Sunday and you can play Trace McSorley quarterback instead.
You have the Tracy McSorley song queued up. Have you ever heard it?
I wish my little brother was probably awake right now. He's 12 years old. He made his own version of the Tracy McSorley song and he rapped the whole thing and put it on YouTube. It's out there.
That's awesome.
Kid's nuts.
Last one is Jameis Winston back ankle. They're saying could start week 11 now. It seems to be a mess here in New Orleans. I think Winston's probably the best option of all the quarterbacks.
Yeah.
But if he starts, what do you think this does to pass catchers? Are you elevating them up?
Yeah. I mean, I don't know how much further you can elevate Chris Olave, wide receiver one, but yeah, this whole situation is just so goofy as hell with Winston and with the Saints. Like when he came out the other day and said like you can't lose your job, the premise was that you can't lose your job in injury, but I just lost my job from an injury. I was like, it hurt my soul, and I was like, this is kind of weird, dude. I don't quite understand why you're saying this right now. Like, go talk to your coach or something. But yeah, I think it overall elevates everybody in this passing game.
Okay, finish up some start-sit questions, and we'll run through our starts of the week. Question here from Jamie is Mike Williams, Peoples-Jones, or Parks, or people I think, or Campbell is what he meant to say. Mike Williams easily for me.
You think so? Okay. Let me look here. Yeah, probably it's you want to get hot with the Paris Campbell thing. Over 30 targets the last 3 games with Matt Ryan, wide receiver 10 over the last since week 6. Since week 6, he's wide receiver 10 in fantasy. I think it's a little more of a conversation, but I think you do have to roll with Mike being healthy and playing in this game.
Yeah, Kansas City, you're talking about potentially one of the highest over-unders of the week. Shootout division. To me, it's I see the indoors. I see the allure of Campbell, and Peoples-Jones has been sneaky good. He's been like wide receiver 30-ish for like week after week after week. But tough matchup. Mike Williams to me has the potential to possibly be a top 10 receiver this week. I'm not rating him there, but has that within the realm of possibilities. Better bench stash: Jalen Warren or Jerick McKinnon?
Warren.
Yep, I go with Warren as well. Running back PPR. Wide receiver, half PPR, DPJ, or... Oh, okay. So he's saying it's 2 different leagues, sounds like. Running back PPR, wide receiver, half PPR, DPJ. That makes no sense. Oh, maybe...
No, I think the scoring... Yeah, the scoring's different.
Wow, weird. Okay. DPJ.
Yeah, I think so, too.
That's odd. I've never seen that, really, before. Like,
that's a good... I mean, I've seen... Never
I've seen
half
like tiered scoring, but I've never seen...
I've seen like 1, 1.25, 1.5, but never...
Exactly.
Like half versus 1, like, yeah, interesting.
It is interesting. Wandale, Brandon Cooks, full PPR.
Puke. Wandale.
I was gonna say pass.
Pass. Good pass. Chris Moore. How about that?
Yeah. Rest of season PPR: Hunt or Gus Edwards. Rest of season for the first question, and then there's another one. So rest of season, I'm gonna say, oh man, if Gus can stay healthy, I like Gus. Hunt has just been so inconsistent this year. He's so touchdown dependent. Is not getting the volume that he used to get.
Do you think Watson rises the offense? Like 10 more pass attempts per game for this offense, a little less rushing, and that counts dumps out of the backfield. Just overall offense. Do you think it elevates?
Well, the overall offense gets elevated, but I think that
Kareem's part of that, right?
But to me, Watson has no fear of throwing the ball down the field either, right? And I'm not sure he's going to be one who's going to dump the ball off to Hunt. Now, if they put Hunt out and worked him in the slot a little bit more, then maybe I'd go Hunt. But when Gus is healthy, we've seen him even in his first game back. Would he see like 14, 15 touches? Mm-hmm. Right? I want the volume, and especially in a backfield that's going to run the ball, top 5 the amount of times in the league.
Yeah.
I'm going to lean Gus.
You're fair. You convinced me. You can make, because I don't think we're going to see a good Dobbins if he does come back. And it's literally Drake right now. And I love Justice Hill, but yeah. Okay. You got me.
Okay. Next one is strong view on which. Oh, there was a second question. Hold up. PPR pick 2, Hollywood, Lazard, Jacoby Myers.
Jacoby.
One more. Pick 2.
Lazard. I don't think Hollywood's going to be 100%. If he plays, is Hollywood on Monday?
Yeah, it's Monday. That's the only problem. So this is what I've been suggesting to people. Like, it depends upon what you need, right? If you're looking at it and you're saying,
didn't Lazard already played?
Oh, Lazard did play. Yeah. It's between Hollywood and Myers then.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, there you answered your question.
Yeah. I'm going to gamble with Hollywood.
Yeah. Okay.
And what I would do is, if you're in this league, I'd go out and I'd put Hollywood in my flex. And if he's ruled out, if your league allows it, you drop into IR and you pick up you pick up McBride and you start him in your flex so you have an out. if you are able to roster McBride heading into the game on top of it to just make sure you're safe, I would roster McBride, gamble with Hollywood. If Hollywood is out, then you just slide in McBride anyways, and you have at least you're taking something rather than nothing. Next one is strong view on which 3 wide receiver this week: Pittman, Gabe Davis, Ayuk, Boyd, or Pickens. All good options. Pittman has a tough matchup though, very tough matchup.
Pittman's got a brutal matchup. We got Gabe as a wide receiver 1 this week. Ayuk we talked about before, and then Boyd plays Pickens. Pickens plays Boyd. Both those defenses are pretty beat up on the back end.
Pittman is the easy sit for me. He's facing off against Slay and Bradbury, so that's the easy out in my opinion.
Yep, 100%.
Then
Gabe and Ayuk
are automatic in. Yep, we're on the same page here. And then I lean Boyd over Pickens.
Where do you have? Let's see. Where do you have Boyd versus Pickens?
It's without looking at it, I'm going to say it's pretty significant. But let's take a look.
We have this is awesome. We literally have Boyd, Ayuk, Pickens back to back to back.
Okay. So I have Gabe and Ayuk back to back. Boyd I have as wide receiver number 18 right now.
Sorry, I read the wrong one. That was our seasonal rankings. I had the wrong one up.
Yeah, so Boyd I have as 18 right now. Pickens is 30. So pretty.
Yeah. Boyd 18, Pickens 34. So yeah, we're in line there. I was reading the other one before.
Okay, so there we go. Pittman sits, Pickens sits. So sit the double P's. Start Gabe, Ayuk, and Boyd. Would you roster Wandale or DJ Chark rest of season?
Ooh, that's a tough one for you. DJ just got activated.
And you know what? I was messaging my draft partner Dave. He loves Amon-Ra St. Brown. I like Amon-Ra St. Brown. I wasn't in love with him like he was. And I said, who would have known that these two paths were so intertwined? Because in the weeks that DJ Chark has been out, Amon-Ra St. Brown has underperformed. So I like DJ Chark. It's very boom bust. But you look at Hawkinson is now gone. He was there when he was last on the field. Swift is banged up and playing limited snaps. We have Reynolds, who is also banged up. So I would go DJ Chark rest of the season. I think Hay has the ability. We saw the downfield throws that Goff was attempting. They weren't all great, but at least he was getting the ball to Chark. And they're constantly playing from behind. They're giving up the most points in the NFL, meaning that they have to play catch up the entire time, which in my opinion is going to benefit Chark over Wandale.
Cool with it.
Cool with it. All right. Tony over Amari this week, just for the thrills. Yep, I like Tony.
You got it.
Myers or Mike Williams? For me, Mike Williams.
Yeah, especially in half.
And then, okay, let's hammer through these. Let's do we're almost done. Is it crazy to start Wandale over Swift in full PPR? Oh man, yeah, I think so.
Too early, too much hamstring injury. I know Swift is banged up too, but just roll with Swift.
Yep, I agree. Need 2 A-Rob, Curtis Samuel, and Mike Williams. Curtis Samuel piques my interest now because of Stingley being out.
I'd go A-Rob and Mike.
Okay, I'm fine with that as well. Like I said, it piqued my interest. So A-Rob and Mike, good. Yep, I agree. Hit the like button, y'all. Smash it.
Yes.
Philly tight end over McBride. He can't remember his name, see? So he's going to start McBride.
If you don't remember his name, you probably shouldn't play him. But, yeah, McBride's going to have an 85% snap share. Probably want to roll with McBride.
It was...
if you want to trust him, you can trust him.
It was Grant Calcaterra. There we go.
I'm playing Calcaterra, but I also have a lot of McBride, so I'm playing both.
I wrote it down. I didn't forget it. I had to write it down, though. McBride over Ingram. Well, okay. So this is okay. So Giselle has asked me this question every single week: Ingram versus Tunyon. I've gotten it wrong every single week except for 1 week. So now there's no Ingram. So rest of the season, McBride or Ingram or Tunyon. I go Ingram.
I hate playing Ingram, dude. I've never wanted to play. I mean, does anybody ever really want to play Ingram? That's the real question. Yeah, I mean, a week from now, we could 100% be on the McBride thing. That's the problem. Like this offense, how much output they have, I could fully see him being an 8-target guy, just like Ertz was.
You can feel free to just tell Giselle that you're kind of SOL and you're going to have to roll with whatever you, whatever you think. Because
go with who. So this is how I would attack this. First off, Ingram is. Oh, you're talking rest of season. Ingram's on bye, so you're between Tanyan already played and McBride. So you're pretty much playing McBride this week if these are your 3 guys. You
already started Tunyon.
Yeah, or you already started Tunyon. Rest of season, if you're holding all 3 of them, you're just going to keep holding them, and you're going to know after this week what McBride is, period.
Okay, I like that answer. PPR, pick one, Tony or Dolchich?
Tony.
Yep, I got Tony too. Nice signed Burks jersey, Cody. Wish I grabbed him before the game yesterday. Good luck on your wheelbarrow. Love it. Justin Watson or DJ Chark? That's a good one. I like DJ here though.
Oof,
it's close.
I mean, I'm gonna fight back on you here. You're gonna get this Giants game in this Detroit and the Giants could be a game that is 17-13 in my opinion. I know Detroit's been scoring. I know they've allowed, but again, we're talking about an offense in New York Giants that they're gonna if they can run the ball 37 times, they're gonna do it and keep it low scoring. And I'm just not sure. I mean, you're talking DJ Chark coming activated right now, or we're talking Justin Watson with no juju in this game against the Chargers. I'd go Justin Watson.
Okay. So we didn't do you any good there. We each said someone else, so you get to be the deciding factor there. Need help choosing 2 wide receivers and a flex off my bench options. Wide receivers are Debo, DJ Moore, Pickens, and Campbell. Other options for flex are those receivers, Tony Pollard and Cordell Patterson.
So we need 3 players.
So Pollard and Patterson are in my opinion. So now you're picking 2 of those 4 receivers.
I'd take. Damn. I think I'm pretty much. You can't really bench Debo.
I mean, I keep moving him down my rankings. I'm consistently lower than the consensus on him, but you still have to play him, I think.
Yeah, I mean, you can't bench
especially
Debo.
Against Arizona.
You can't bench Debo.
Yeah, so Debo's in. So now it's DJ Moore, who has a really good matchup, actually, but we just don't like the quarterback. Right? They're facing Baltimore.
Wait, did you say Pollard or Cordero?
No, I think that he has Pollard and Patterson in the flex, is what he's saying. And that he technically could start receivers over those guys, but I wouldn't. Am I reading that wrong?
2 wide receivers and a flex.
Yeah.
So he needs 3 guys out of this list. And only 1 can be a running back.
Okay. Well, I went Patterson earlier in the start sit versus Pollard. You went Pollard.
All right. So go Patterson here. Patterson, Debo, and then what?
I lean DJ just because of the matchup.
And targets.
I mean, it's the wide receiver 1 versus the wide receiver 2s. Right? Yeah. That's the way I look at it is snap share and targets. So DJ Moore has the opportunity to outproduce these guys, in my opinion, with the matchup and the opportunities. It is Baker, which is the kind of the wild card here. But I still lean DJ Moore. You good with that?
Yep.
Okay. Pretty start 3, Swift, Mike, Williams, Sutton, Tony, Pacheco, full PPR.
Swift, Mike, and Tony.
Swift, Mike, and Tony. Okay, I'm fine with that. I would not argue if you wanted to throw in Sutton over Swift because of Judy being ruled out, and you were concerned with snap shares. I would probably lean Mike, Sutton, and Tony. Again, that just goes back to my rule of the full-time wide receiver over the part-time running back, and Swift has been a part-time running back.
How am I the one picking Swift?
Here we are. Here we are. So we got about 5 more questions. We'll call it a night. We'll get you in bed. It's like 1:15 in the morning your time.
We're ripping, dude.
We are ripping. So it's only 19 snaps. That's right. I said it earlier. There you go. So PPR, Patterson or Campbell for the flex? Patterson.
Yeah, Patterson.
Okay, McBride or Dolchich?
McBride, Pitts, or Dulcich?
Oh, I missed Pitts. Oh, because I would sit him. That's why.
Dulcich.
Yes, exactly. Yes, Dulcich it is for me as well. Real quick, Pitts is in leads my situm, and I'll just kind of give you a brief reason why. Okay, even though he has 88.9% snaps last week, he only recorded 2 receptions, 28 yards. Conversely, 10 weeks, he's only eclipsed the 30-yard mark on 2 occasions all season, and he has had 20 or fewer yards in 4 of those occasions. That's bad.
Didn't you know he was one of the most prolific players of all time, and he's number 1 in air yards, and he's number 1 in target rate, and nobody can hit him, and Marcus Mariota can't hit the broadside of a barn.
Yeah, when all that gives you fantasy points, you can start him, but until it does, I'm benching him.
15 targets though, 4 receptions,
2. 4 is very generous.
4 over the last 2 weeks. That's what I'm saying 2 and 2. 24 targets in the last 3 weeks. What do you got to show for it?
Nothing. Traded Mixon and Rondell for ETN and T. Higgins PPR. Oh yeah, that's a win. ETN Higgins side all day.
Hell yeah.
Yep, I think it's a big win.
Hell yeah.
ETN's been dynamite. Following up, Watson in the old wide receiver slot now. I'd have to pick up Chark, thinking of giving Chark the edge for the rest of the season on the roster. Love it. Okay. Got to pick one.
Wait. You say he's dropping Watson for who? Which Watson?
Oh, yeah. Let us know who you're dropping, please. If that's...
He said I'd have to drop Watson for Chark.
Yeah, make sure that's not Christian Watson or something, please. Or, yeah, just clarify for us. Tight end this week, Schultz or Andrews? Andrews.
Yep.
Okay. And then who are your FanDuel cash locks this week? I can't play FanDuel.
Oh, let me pull it up here. Go to the next one. I'll say it in a second here.
Okay.
I got our picks in.
Curtis Samuel, DJ Moore, Peoples-Jones, or Skowronek? It's 2022. We're getting Skowronek at start questions.
I mean, Curtis. You said Curtis earlier. I think you take Curtis and DJ on ops. Peoples-Jones has been solid.
Peoples-Jones has been sneaky good, actually.
Yeah.
I do have Curtis Samuel ranked about 4 spots higher than him, though. But Peoples-Jones, just in comparison, here, let me find it while you're looking for that. Right now is my wide receiver 33. And you look at his game log, and I'll just go to PPR for everybody. Wide receiver 22 week 10, 34 in week 8, 34 in week 7, 33 in week 6. So then 47, 29, a couple 100s and a 36. So pretty consistently 33 through 35. But I said earlier, Stingley's out. I like Curtis Samuel a little bit more this week. So Samuel and DJ Moore. All right, last 2 questions. Ayuk or Keenan Allen this week? I like Ayuk.
Yep.
And then last question, and then you can get your FanDuel up there. Justin Watson was the name. I'm fine just dropping Justin Watson for Chark.
100%.
Okay. And your FanDuel cash lock?
FanDuel cash lock. If you go to playerprofiler.com/newsletters, we have the Dario's DFS Domination, Cody's Corner, and the weekly Underworld Weekly. The cash game locks are Justin Fields, Ramondre Stevenson, Terry McLaurin, and Kyle Pitts.
Ooh, don't like the Pitts one, but I like the rest of them.
I don't either, but I like McLaurin, I like Stevenson, and I love Fields.
Yeah, I like them. I like the rest of them as well. Okay, that is it. Cody, why don't you plug away, tell them where to find you, what you're working on, give them the deets.
You can find everything over at playerprofiler.com. And you just type in Player Profiler into the podcast feed. I'm there on the Propcast Happy Hour on Fridays, Undercovered Ops on Thursdays, Sundays on the Player Profiler YouTube channel is the starter stream show on there at 11 o'clock a.m. Eastern. So 10 hours from now, I'll be live again. Patreon.com/Carpentier NFL. We'll be hanging out all over there. Everything's over at playerprofiler.com, though. NFL draft analysis and fantasy, everything you got. Billy, I appreciate you having me on as always. You're a real one.
Yep. Love having you on, Cody. And again, loved meeting you in person, drinking beer, and having chicken and waffles and hamburgers at 2 in the morning in Canton.
Hey, also, I did want to say this before we get out of here. I think we are both top 40. I mean, you probably have a couple teams in there, but I think I'm like 5 or 6 spots behind you in the FFWC Player Profiler Championship.
Let me pull it up real quick. Hold up. Let me
I think we're like 5 spots apart, maybe 6.
We have had Thursday Night Football, so it changes things a little bit, but we can take a look real quick.
Let me pull this bad boy up.
Um,
I think I'm like 39th, I want to say. I can't remember here.
yeah, I'm 39th now, so because we've had the game. So I've moved down 8 spots because of the Thursday game.
So I'm 46th then, so I'm 7 spots below you.
Yep, you're nipping on my heels. I was
I'm
I was number 2 a couple weeks ago.
I know you. I saw you up there. There was the red. Is it still the red and blue team that's up there?
Yeah, the red and blue team's up there, and I got a couple teams in the top 100. The World Championship, so it's the main event over here. I have a team in second over there as well with Dave Hubbard, and then I have it's 6 with Thursday Night Football, and I have I think 4 top 100 teams, and then I have like 5 top 100 teams in the best ball tournament at FFWC as well. So not too bad. The big money leagues, though, I burned some money over here this year. Like I straight up like Salvation Army'd it, man. Like just straight donations. It was pretty bad. like it's the only 10K league that I just like pretty much just handed him 10K, walked away. Like I was like it's like that Peter Griffin, like nope, just keep it. You know, like when he walks up to the booth. This is probably the worst I've ever done in the 10K league. So I think it's like in 10th place. And so the on the other site though, we have 1 in first place in the 10K and then 1 in third place in the 10K. So we should cash it all.
Nice work.
All right, everybody, that is it. Thanks, Cody, for tuning in late night with me on Muzio Madness. Ooh, I should rebrand that, Muzio Madness. It's Midnight Madness. We appreciate you, everyone. Have a good night. Thanks for tuning in.